Hey everybody, this is John and Jackie of OpenLove101.com once again. And today, Jackie, it seems like we keep getting more and more questions through email, and we end up touching upon them in video. And another one that's come up and we've had some conversations about lately is where one of the spouses becomes uncomfortable because their partner is going to go out on a date. And this is more for, polyamorous open relationships, I suppose. It's going to go out on a date with one of their friends that happens to be of the opposite sex, and there's this feeling of the time involved, like why are they going to spend time with me today? And how uncomfortable it can make us feel, and it almost turns into this, it's not really jealousy, but it morphs into this fear, like, oh, they're spending too much time with her, I don't know what I'm going to do. But if it wasn't going out on a date with someone, if it were something like, I'm going to go play poker for 8 hours, babe, you would be, oh my gosh, I get to, work on my book, or I can go shopping for the 8 hours. I've got free time to buy what I want to buy. It could be, we don't have the same kind of, we don't perceive it in the same way when our partner takes time away from us to do a hobby or something like that. But when it comes down to spending time with someone of the opposite sex, the fear sets in.
Yeah, we've seen that time and time again where you have couples that come up against this, and they will either set a rule that that's not allowed, and that's fine if it works for everybody. But for those couples that are maybe wanting to expand the boundaries and maybe try out something different or some new things, this can be a really interesting issue that you come up against, because I think more often than not, the way a lot of us are raised, I know I was, it's that one person kind of monogamous guideline that I was taught growing up. So to incorporate other people into it really seems, it will seem wrong. Like, no, that's not how it's supposed to happen. So that in and of itself, to open up to swinging, can have its own difficulties. But then if you take it a step further and say, not only are we going to play with other couples or other singles, but maybe, I don't know, maybe we want to test doing that singularly. And so that has its own set of issues. But I think what's important to remember is a lot of times what's happening in our world is our perception of what's happening. Like John said, if he goes and plays poker, or if I go shopping for that matter in an afternoon, it's not going to create the same kind of response typically as if John says, hey, I've, just met up with a friend of mine and we're going to go to dinner or a movie. Is that okay? It's really interesting how, at least for me initially, that pull will be much different than if he says he's going to go play poker. I will immediately start to attach an emotional significance to what's going on. What's really interesting in line with that is that emotional significance that I want to attach to that will tend to be negative instead of positive. It immediately starts to create that deficit feeling that so often can come into play when we're talking about, being with other people and understanding. This is not just kind of like a one-time deal with retraining your brain on how to process what's happening. You have years and years. For me, I had 40 some odd years of this mentality of how a relationship works. So it's not going to just happen overnight. You've got to be patient and allow those opportunities to present themselves in order to give you an opportunity to test how you can perceive what's going on.
So how do you change that perception, that idea of when someone goes out to do something, one of their hobbies, or going out on a date? Like, how would you change that and turn it into a positive, not such a negative?
Well, I think, again, it falls in line with how we perceive what's going on. Like I said earlier, a lot of times we want to take an emotional attachment to someone as a negative to the relationship instead of a positive. So that can be kind of a starting point. Instead of viewing having a conversation with someone else, or going to dinner with someone else, or playing with someone else, if you take it to that level, It's about looking at that as an enhancement to the relationship that you have with your partner.
Right.
You know, you think about it, you know, and this may be you know, the example that I'm going to use as far as your friendships, for example. You know, a lot of us have more than one friend, and each friend that we garner into our circle just enhances everything else. It, you know, it brings in lots of different thought patterns and communications, and it can be the same way with our relationship. You know, part of what makes swinging so great, and one of the things that I really love and value about the swinging relationship, is that sense of foundation that I have with John. You know, we've had so many talks, so much communication, there's so much honesty and trust there within our relationship, you know, that base is so strong that for John to be able to talk to someone else is not only is it not a threat to that foundation, but it builds on that foundation. So I think that can be a starting point, is that compersion, that being happy for your partner, that they have found someone that they can communicate with and that they enjoy spending time with, and to open yourself up enough to being positive about that interaction so that it grows.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And then I think too, sometimes, well, with anything, it takes practice, really trying it, seeing what happens. So, you know, working through the fears. Then, you know, an example would be I would come home and share my experience with Jackie, and she'd be, oh my God, that was crazy. And we have a great time together and great intimate time together afterwards.
Right.
Then the next time, maybe it comes up again and that fear is still there, but maybe it's minimized. Maybe it's not quite as great. Maybe you're able to reduce that fear a little more quickly than the last time. And then the process happens again. I come home, you're happy for me, you had a good time. I had a great time. Oh my God, this was so much fun. I tell you about it, and then we share that experience together again. And I think in that process of doing it and seeing that the fear was really unfounded can really help to enhance and grow the relationship.
Right.
So anyway, if you haven't done so already, please sign up for our email list at openlove101.com. And Jackie and I will send you an email weekly letting you know about our upcoming blog or video. Also, be sure and check out our shopping area of the site for t-shirts and other items there that we have for sale. In the meantime, have a great time and see ya.